We'll now put all of this strategy together into an individual learning plan for John. Now, as a trainer and assessor, you currently work for an RTO and have their forms. This isn't the Evoke form as such, but it's just a very plain document with all of the fields that IBSA does suggest that you use. You're welcome to save this and rebuild it as a template for your RTO if you like. It's just a very, very simple form, bearing in mind that you will have your own forms and templates for your learning plans. So all we need to do to use this as a form of evidence is we need to get in some fields and details for John, and I'm not going to hold this one up by typing, I'm just going to orally guide you through. So you put in learner would be John Smith, just here under the black field, that's just a subtitle there. Employer contact would be Mike Bikeman. And the organisation name is Mike's Bikes. This is just carrying over from our Certificate for Qualification case study on John. Learner's contact details, just make up any contact details that you like there. This is just purely a simulated case study. So, you might want to use the American 555-5555 type of phone number if you like. Make up an email, make up an address. Now, for the purpose of learning, don't forget with this case study for John, it is to establish whether the client, being Mike, would like to continue in a full forklift license. So the purpose of learning, and I will give you some suggestions there, is to trial training for the learner, and I might leave this one in for you. Learner characteristics, we will say that John is a kinesthetic learner. Okay, so he likes to use his body to learn, so he actually likes to move through. He is quite visual as well. Special needs, language literacy and numeracy support is what we are looking for now. So I'd like you to specify what those core support areas are. I will wipe this off. This is just to guide you. So we want to make sure that you've got LLN support in reading and writing core skills. We might also look at the foundation skill of ICT, just so we can get him using the computer in the office, but that might have to come at a later date. Now the specification, we're looking at the TLI, Transport and Logistics Industry, LIC, because it's a license, 2001A, which is licensed to operate a forklift. Alright, so you want to make sure that one's in there. Other specification, we can put in it's element 1 only. Moving down. Existing resources. So we're going to use the warehouse and forklift, as well as the OH&S policies. So we're just using all of their existing resources in the factory. There is no required resources for this, we're just going on site. So time frames for delivery. Look, as I said, this is an initial tester, so we're only going to go in there for one particular session. So let's put 2 hours. The learning environment is on site at workplace. Whoops. Now, OH&S requirements, so you'll need personal protective equipment when you're there, which means Steel cap shoes, you're down in the forklift area. What if a pallet accidentally dropped near your foot, or you kicked into one? So they definitely want steel cap shoes. They're also requiring a helmet, which will be provided. Oh, I can't write provided today. And we want the safety vest. Also provided. And this is because different companies will have different colour codings, so you can expect helmets and vests to be supplied, but obviously with shoe sizes, you'd want to be providing your own, especially if you're in the vocational training sector. Now, assessment tasks, all we're going to look at today is having John identify a hazard orally. Okay, so he's not completing a hazard ID form, he's identifying a hazard orally and communicating the hazard to a supervisor. Now, the delivery methods are going to be face-to-face training. The staff required, we're going to need a forklift operator, okay, initially in this first session we don't need an LLN specialist, we just need the current team. As you move down, you'll see finally we get to a sequencing table which would look fairly similar to the training plans you would be filling out with your RTOs. So don't forget, with John, this is just a one session. Outcomes, the overall outcome is to understand and adhere to OH&S procedures in the forklift area. Okay, now the content comes from element 1. And the delivery method, look, this is just a bit of a repeat, isn't it? So the activities, we've got to then think about what type of activities that you'd want to undertake down there. We're not doing any writing tasks, so basically we'd be doing some simulated activities, so simulated role plays there, to identify. So the first one that we're going to do is a speeding forklift. Obviously that would be in a very controlled environment while no other staff are in the area, so he needs to be able to estimate a safe speed by observation. And secondly, a pedestrian okay. Now, so, we'll actually have some staff involved in that, and he'll have to role play that hazard identification process through to his supervisor. So the resources we'll need a forklift, we'll need access to the warehouse, we'll need the staff. Okay, now we'll need an observation checklist form. So an observation checklist, and really that's about the resources that we require. So it's only one session and we have now got an individualized plan. Now the reason that we need this document is we're showing that we have changed the activities to an oral So if we go up here under the assessment tasks, identify a hazard orally and communicate hazard to a supervisor.